Hi everybody, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel, and I'm going to read some angel cards for you for the week beginning June the 11th through to the 17th, 2018. So I do a different card deck for each day of the week. Some people like to do one deck for the entire week. I like to mix things up, and so I'll start shuffling and we'll see what messages the angels have to tell us that can help us get through the day and figure things out. New love. I love this because last week we had, I think, 3, maybe 4 cards around the energy of romance. So I love that it's continuing, because who doesn't need more romance in their lives? So particularly for the singles, this is really asking you to believe that there will be a new love coming into your life. And I know you're disappointed. You've been disappointed many times. Dating is a very disappointing game, but this is asking you to believe in hope. And remember that a bad date doesn't mean you're never going to meet someone. So try to rise above your disappointments and be very careful not to get sucked into negative expectations. There are a lot of people around who will say things like, there are no good single people left, or you're running out of time, or all sorts of negative things like, you know, you always attract the wrong type of person, and you know, these things are really unhelpful. Be careful not to buy into those messages, because the universe doesn't care about statistics. So put that whole man drought thing aside. You only need one person, not thousands, and the universe will make sure you find that person. But you do need to believe in it and be very careful not to get sucked into those kind of negative expectations that will inadvertently result in you putting up blocks towards attracting someone. So, and remember, you do have enough time. Whenever you get messages that are trying to rush you to, oh, better call them back, or better text that person, or anything that's pushing you with a sense of urgency is not your intuition. That is the voice of fear, because it believes in scarcity and it believes there's not enough. But the universe will never rush you. It will tell you when to act, but it won't push you, because it knows you've got enough time. So now, if you're in a relationship, don't forget that doesn't mean you're excluded from this romantic energy. And you know, we're in a time now where we spend more time looking at our phones than we do looking at our partners. And I'm certainly guilty of trying to have many conversations with my partner while looking at my phone at the same time, and deluding myself that that is actually a helpful thing to do, where in actual fact, as he points out, I can't concentrate on 2 things at once. I'm terrible at multitasking. And in fact, many of us are. We just like to pretend otherwise for the sake of productivity. But in fact, if your focus is on your phone, it's not going to be fully on the person who's talking. So for some of you, the romance may just be about you pouring your energy away from these other distractions and into the other person, and really noticing what they're not saying as well as what they are, because sometimes someone's trying to tell you something and they're struggling, or they're not quite right and they don't know how to articulate that. Or, sorry, when I say they're not quite right, I don't mean they're not quite right. I mean something in their world is not quite right and they don't know how to process it. They haven't got the language, or they're not even sure they can identify the emotions around it. So being really aware of your partner. But of course, the romance energy comes through when we try to mix things up. Esther Perel, who's just the most incredible modern love expert. I love her. If you are interested in the dynamics of relationships, I really recommend her podcast called Where Should We Begin? It's on audible.com, and I believe it's also on iTunes now. I've only listened to the first season, but I know there's another one now, and it is recordings of real life couple counselling sessions with obviously the identities disguised. And the way that she sums up what's really going on, which is often different to the issue that the couple presents with, is really fascinating. And one of my favourite quotes from her is that, which I'm paraphrasing now because I can't remember the exact wording, but is that human beings have this desire for security, but also a desire for novelty. And, you know, sometimes people talk about how familiarity breeds contempt, which is a little bit harsh. I wouldn't go with that. But what Esther is saying is that, you know, if we are weighing too much in one area and not enough in the other, we feel out of kilter. If we've got too much novelty, too much, which I guess we tend to often have in those really early heady days of the relationship, you know, we haven't got enough stability and we don't feel anchored into the relationship. Whereas if we've got too much, not stability, but too much routine and too much sort of functional kind of stuff going on, and not enough of the spontaneity, the fun, the passion, the pleasure, we also feel out of kilter, and then we get monotony, and then we get bored, and that's not a healthy thing to do, because it can lead you to make some very bad choices. So it's asking you to look for things like passion and pleasure and romance and bring those in. So it might be just about mixing things up with spontaneity, or it might be about just scheduling a date night. If you've got young children, you probably haven't done that for a while, and you can't neglect a relationship. I know everybody's got a lot of time pressure on them, but a relationship has to be fed. It's like something in your garden. You can't neglect it and leave it to the elements. You've got to keep tending to it. It's an ongoing thing, and that's why it's such a beautiful connection to have, because the rewards of that are immense. Now, Tuesday. Oh, helps if I turn it the right way around. Shield yourself. If you are an empath, now if you don't know what that means, just hold on, I will explain it. If you're an empath, which you probably are if you've been drawn to this sort of angel card reading or spirituality, any branch of spirituality in fact, you are very sensitive to other people's energies, and you need to shield yourself. So one of the things I do every morning as part of my daily meditation, and sometimes if I do neglect my meditation, I still make sure I do this. I call on Archangel Michael to put a shield around me. So what I do is I ask him to use the sword to encase me in a bubble of white light, and then I ask for a layer of, depending on what I'm going through, if I'm very emotional, I might ask for a layer of pink to bring me some compassion if I'm struggling with the people around me. Pink energy is about love. I might ask for some emerald green if there's something that needs healing. Perhaps my physical health is struggling in some way, or maybe I've got some emotional wounds I'm processing. And then sometimes I don't do any of those layers. I just go for the white. And the final one, which is really important, is a layer of purple energy. That's the protection. So I ask for a layer of purple light to shield me against lower energies, harsh energies, dark energies, negativity, or anything that is not of the light. So you don't have to follow that. That's just one thing I do. It's something I've adopted as a variation of what other people do. If you want to read a bit more about that, go to my website, www.onegroundedangel.com, and just type shield in the search field, and it will bring up that article where I wrote about that a couple of years ago. It's really important to protect your energy. In fact, science has shown that you can catch a bad mood from someone. And if you've ever walked away from people who are really negative or really cynical, you will find this can be a real problem, because you will start to unconsciously, even if you don't take on those beliefs, you will feel flat and feel like your positivity has just been brought down. I know when I was single, I had to be really careful when I was being around other single people who were really negative about their prospects of meeting someone. Similar to what I just talked about with this, that whole there's no one out there, or I've run out of time, or all the good single people are taken, or there's something wrong with every person you meet. Those sort of beliefs, and I would have to shield myself before I saw them, because I did not want that energy in my energy field. Your energy field's sometimes called an aura, and it's like, it's hard to explain what energy is, but I suppose energy is the essence of everything. And your energy field, you've got life force energy running through that, and it can get blocked by fears and negativity and all sorts of negative energy. Also, drug use really can screw up your energy field as well. So there's lots of things, and when we're creating holes, that means a lot more of that negative and lower energy can come through. So shield yourself. And the degree you need to do this depends on what you're doing. If you work in a workplace where there are negative people, you might want to do this every day. It depends on the degree of your sensitivity as well. Now, empath, E-M-P-A-T-H, it doesn't mean having empathy, as some people think, although certainly you probably do have a lot of empathy. It just means you're really, really highly sensitive to other people, other people's energies, to the mood. You know, when you walk into a room and you can just tell that it's people who are talking about you, or you can just tell that there are some toxic people in the room, but you don't know why. It's something you feel, and that's your energy field picking up on that. So everybody can do that, actually, not just empaths, but everybody can sense when there's a bad energy or something like that going on. But empaths are the ones who tend to take it on board. Another way, a way of clearing your energy, by the way, if you are an empath, and I recommend you Google it if that sort of stuff resonates with you, to get some more information about being an empath and how you can kind of manage it to make sure that, that your energy field isn't being depleted. Something you can do is swim in the ocean. If you live where I live, you don't want to be doing that. It's freezing right now. Bathing in Epsom salts, Reiki, any energy healing can help with that. being around crystals, all sorts of ways to cleanse your energy. So I better move on now to Wednesday because I've taken a long time to talk about that one. It is a big topic. Managing your energetic health is super important. Wednesday we have acceptance. So acceptance is one of those words that sounds like it's kind of a last resort. Oh, I suppose I have to accept that. But it's actually a place coming from a place of empowerment. Like, I will accept this because I know I can't change it. And I will accept this because it doesn't do me any good to be worrying about it anymore. So I often talk about acceptance when it comes to grudges that you're holding around other people, and in particular around the way you perceive their behaviour. So it might be just accepting that they're just not going to behave in the way that you want them to. It might be about just coming to a place of acceptance that this happened and I can't change it and I need to move forward with peace. It's about peace, really. It's not about going, I suppose I have to put up with this. You're not being asked to put up with things that are unacceptable. You are being asked to accept, as that serenity prayer famously says, accept the things that you cannot change. And again, the courage to change the things that you can and the wisdom to know the difference is all part of that as well. So this really does talk about the way we perceive other people and making sure that we are not holding people to unrealistic expectations, and we're not berating them for not being in a different place in their lives. Everybody's moving at their own pace in terms of their spiritual journey. And if other people are not quite where we're at, that's okay. We don't need them to be. So it's about surrendering judgment and being okay with recognising people's humanity and understanding that everybody's doing the best that they can. But again, that doesn't mean you should tolerate when they treat you with disrespect or anything like that. Thursday, communication. What I'm noticing firstly about this card is this emerald green around the hands, because emerald green is the colour of healing. I sort of mentioned this earlier. And it's the colour of Archangel Raphael, who is associated with healing. And that's emotional, energetic, mental, physical health healing, So I do get a sense that there is some healing that needs to happen around communication. The card is about communication. And some of you might have some deeper level blocks going on. The reasons that you are not communicating effectively with the people around you, or the reasons that you are struggling with communication. Maybe it's not about you finding the language. Maybe it's about you not sharing what's really going on. There might be something that needs to be resolved underneath all that. Or maybe you've been punished in the past for speaking up and now you're too scared, or you're, even if you're not even conscious of that. So because emerald green is also the colour of the heart chakra for those who are versed in the chakras. And the heart chakra is about the way we give and receive love. So if you think about, also the heart chakra is about around our arms. If you think about our arms, those are the way we show love, or one way, certainly for our hands in affection. So the hands on this being green feels really symbolic to me, or significant. And so I'm wondering if what they're saying is with this card is, if you've got communication blocks, think about how that is affecting the way you show up for love, the way you give and receive love. Maybe you're pulling away from it. Maybe you're not giving it because you're scared to step into that space. I realise that sounds a bit vague, but I know that's going to land with people in a lot of different ways. So I'll leave that to simmer with you guys. Friday. Interesting. This angel is Fiona, and she's about receiving help. So I just mentioned about receiving. I know I talk about this a lot, but love needs to flow in both directions. We need to give it and we need to be able to receive it as well. So if you are giving help to all and sundry, but when someone offers to help, you're like, no, I got this, I'm fine. We do, and women are very good at this, particularly mums, because I think they have to manage everything on their own. They have to be the strong one for everybody else, and they're not allowed to ask for help or accept it. That's a sign of weakness, which is totally wrong, but I can certainly see how that belief takes shape. So on one hand, this could be asking you about the way you are willing to receive love. Remember, the universe works through other people. If you're denying other people the gift of letting them help you, you are also cutting yourself off from the universe. But the card talks primarily about receiving divine guidance. So yes, that can be for other people, but maybe you're not receiving the solution that the universe is presenting to you because it doesn't look the way you expect suspected it to. Maybe you're not receiving help because or guidance because you've shut off your intuition to it for some reason. You're just struggling to connect. Whatever it is, hopefully I'll explain this better when I actually put it on social media, but it's about it's about your willingness to receive love, whether that's from the universe, from the people around you. I mean, they're all shades of the same thing, really. So moving on to Saturday. I do feel also with that card, there's an idea around worthiness as well. Sometimes when we're not willing to receive, it's because we don't believe we deserve it. So some of you may have some blocks around that, which is classic heart chakra. World energy. This is one of those cards I really struggle with because the actual message of the card isn't really explained by the words world energy. So the card is really about the way we pick up energy from other sources. So things like world events, so I guess that could be why they named it world energy. Some of these cards I struggle with the wording of them, but it's just because I'm a little bit different in my approach to angel card readings. I'm not of that traditional kind of school. But yeah, as I say, the card is about the way we pick up other energies. So you can see how that relates to what I just mentioned about shielding. It does talk about how the world is going through a lot at the moment, and you might be picking that up. I do not read the news. I can't handle it. I just can't bear all that bad news. And it doesn't do me any good to be a witness to the suffering of others. It doesn't help me in any way. I'm certainly made aware of when there are needs for me to help. There is a need for me to help in some way with donations, and I do that. But I do not follow the struggles of the earth. And I've worked in the media. I know that unfortunately bad news sells, and that is why it is so full of bad news or celebrity nonsense, and none of those do me any good, so I just don't engage with it. So if I do feel affected by something, I send love energy to that area. I mean, me having my energy brought down, it doesn't allow me to help in any way. So it's really about your sensitivity here. So making sure you're not picking up, if it's not from world events, I would say again, other people. You might be picking up energy from other people, or getting engaged in other people's dramas, and you start to feel like the world is so tough and unfair, and certainly it can be, both tough and unfair, but you want to make sure that's not your default setting, because if that becomes your default setting, you will start to attract experiences that echo that. Sunday. It's always around the end of the week I start to forget where I'm at to. Oh, maybe this isn't the right deck for us. Let's see. This isn't looking good. Okay. Interesting. We've got two cards. First one is about prosperity, or as I like to call it, abundance, because when we say abundance, we're not just talking about money. This card really does speak to money primarily. If you think about the word prosperity, that's what it tends to invoke. But if you look at this kind of like that cornucopia type idea, and it is gold that's coming out of it, not fruit and vegetables, as we're used to seeing with abundance type symbolism. So what the card says is that everything you want is a result of your expectations. Now, I know there are things that happen that you did not ask for and you did not expect and you have not caused. I'm thinking particularly of illness challenges. However, that doesn't mean that you can't turn things around with it by changing your mindset. Remember, you can always change the way you respond to something, even if you're not able to change the event itself. So this is asking you to be very aware of the energy that you're sending out in terms of what you're trying to manifest. If you're sending out, I want to be rich, maybe you need to focus more on why you want to be rich and what it is you're actually looking for in that. Maybe it's just you want to feel like you're supported and you've got enough of what you need. So the other card is crystal clear intention. So that's really about manifestation as well. So they're very much related. And the idea is about you needing to follow your intuition on what's right for you, set intentions, and be very focused on what you want and why. Sometimes a lot of people with the law of attraction talk about how you need to tune into the emotion about something in order to really increase the likelihood of it happening to you. So instead of thinking you know, I want this particular job. Think about how it will feel when you have this particular job, what your life will look like. So you're bringing up some emotions around it can really help with the energy in terms of that attraction. So I realise I'm being a bit vague here, but everybody wants different things. So it really depends on what you want, and what this card is primarily telling you is that you do have the ability to attract it, and you can have everything you want. So if what you do desire is to have your material needs met, remember that as a child of the universe, you're already supplied for today, tomorrow, and all your tomorrows. You always have enough of what you need. So if that's what you're really looking for, you already have it. So maybe you just need reassurance around that. So, or to really understand it as well. Sometimes we look at what we don't have. Oh, well, okay, I've got enough money, but I've got this bill coming in. Well, yeah, but you'll have enough money to pay for that. The way that we think about bills is in terms of a loss sometimes, but actually bills are a necessary evil for a start, and you're actually receiving something really great in exchange for that. I don't know about you, but I kind of like having hot water. So anyway, that's it for the week. There's a theme around manifestation and certainly around sensitivity to energy, so making sure that we protect our energy here. Yeah, that's the major theme. Also receiving, being willing to receive support, help, advice, all of that sort of stuff. That's it for the week. Thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, I do post each card on my social media. My Instagram is @OneGroundedAngel. I also have a Facebook page, One Grounded Angel. I believe I still have a Google+. I haven't updated it for about 3 years, so I don't recommend you follow that because I had to really limit. No matter what the social media marketers said, I do not go across every single platform. It's too much for me to manage in terms of my time. So Facebook and Instagram are really my major priorities. I don't even use Twitter. Well, I do for my personal, but not for this work. So I wouldn't go out of your way to look me up on Twitter. And as I mentioned, I also have a website, and that's the best way you can get in touch with me because I am a bit slow with checking the DMs on Instagram, primarily because most of them are inappropriate messages. My website is www.onegroundedangel.com. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a really terrific week.